Good morning, students. Very good morning to one and all. I welcome all of you once again to our online lecture sessions 2020. Already we have started one new lesson. The lesson is History of Timekeeping Devices. We have already completed two lesson plans of the same. Today we'll be taking third lesson plan of the same, LP number 03, making notes. So the aim of this particular session is that once we complete this particular session, you will be able to use notes to make questions about an informational text. The resources which we required for the same are S3, notebook, Exceed, content book. Okay, we need all these things. So let's begin lesson plan number 3. So first question, which is very simple, just listen and try to answer it to yourself. Okay, what is one new and one interesting thing that you learned from this article? We have completed almost 80% of the article and remaining 20% will complete today. But whatever we have completed, just tell me what is one new thing and one interesting thing that you learned from this article. What questions do you still have that are unanswered? Okay, just try to answer it to yourself. Are you getting any answer? Take your time. You can pause this video and just try to find out answer of this particular question. Some of us shared that using the sun and stars to find time is something new that we learned. It was also interesting to discover that a candle clock was used as an alarm clock. Okay, as an alarm clock. Alarm clock was also there that time. Okay. Some questions that we still have are: how were the watches that we use today invented? Who invented the modern clock? How? Did people stop using old methods of keeping time? Why? So let's find out answer of all these questions in this session. So let's begin a journey to find out these unanswered questions. Okay, let's begin here. Here we go. History of timekeeping devices. You have to just open page number 27. Just see the page number 27 and we'll start this quickly. Towards modern technology in timekeeping devices. First one is mechanical clock. Now we are just thinking about modern clock. Okay, mechanical clocks. Mechanical means which run with the help of machines. These clocks were probably first invented in medieval Europe. The mechanical clock consisted of an arrangement of gears and wheels. In the machine of these mechanical clocks, there were gears and wheels that turned the weights attached to them. As the weights were pulled downward by the force of gravity, the wheels were forced to turn in a slow but regular manner. And because of the gravity, these weights were pulled downwards and the wheels were forced to turn in a slow but regular manner. A pointer was attached to the wheels to mark the hours. You can see any watch available in your home, you will get the pointers. Okay, these clocks became common in churches and monasteries and were used to tell when to toll the bells for daily prayers. And during that time, mostly these watches were used in the churches and monasteries to keep the time or to tell at what time there would be a daily prayer. Eventually means at the last, mechanical clocks were designed to strike the hour and even the quarter hour. Okay. However, they had only an hour hand, and since they were not enclosed, they gained or lost up to half an hour a day. So, mechanical clocks were designed to strike the hour and even the quarter hour. Okay, so there was a progress, there were changes, but since it were not enclosed, they gain or lost up to half an hour. Sometimes they used to get extra half hour or less half hour. Okay, the spring powered clock was invented around 1500 by Peter Henlin of Nuremberg. Okay, so the spring powered clock was invented in which year? In the year 1500. By whom? By Peter Henlin of Nuremberg. Okay, that is in Germany. It became very popular among rich people because these clocks could fit on a shelf. And these clocks were small and they could fit on a shelf. The only problem with this type of clock was that it slowed down as the mainspring unwound. Since the clock was, or the working of the clock was based on spring. Okay. Despite this, the development of the spring powered clock is considered the beginning of accurate timekeeping. But though there was a problem because of the spring, it used to get slow once the spring used to get unwound. Okay, but still it was considered as the beginning of accurate time keeping. Maybe in your home, ask your parents, senior ones, they must be having those old watches based on the spring, okay, or spring tension. In 1582, the Italian scientist Galileo noticed the back and forth swaying movement of the chandeliers in the cathedral. He observed that these movements were always the same, whether the swing was a large or small one. So another type of clock was there which was having chandelier. Okay. And he observed that these movements were always the same. Whether the swing was a large or small one, he timed the swaying with his pulse and then began experimenting with swinging wedges. He found that the pendulum could be used to mark off small intervals of time accurately. And when he saw the chandeliers in the cathedral, which were having slow movement from right to left like that, so he decided to use one small pendulum that can be used as a mark of small intervals of time accurately. After Galileo made this discovery, the regular back and forth movement of the pendulum became the most accurate source of power used to regulate the turning of the wheels and gears of a clock. And after Galileo, when he made discovery, it became very useful to use a pendulum, and it became the most accurate source of power. Okay, Christian Huygens, a Dutch astronomer, first devised a successful pendulum clock in 1656. And this Christian Huygens, he became first successful pendulum clock. Okay, You can see on page number 28 there is small first pendulum clock. You can see this pendulum clock which is on page number 28. He used short pendulums that beat many times a second, covered them in wood, and hung the clock up on the wall. It had an error of less than 1 minute a day. And see, some of the clocks they were having error of almost half an hour, but it became very less in case of this pendulum clock. It was only 1 minute's error. This was considered to be a big improvement over the earlier mechanical clocks, and this was like an achievement because this clock was almost errorless. In 1670, the English clockmaker William Clement used a meter-long pendulum that took a full second to move back and forth. It gave greater accuracy than ever before. And in the year 1670, one more clockmaker, his name is William Clement. He is an English clockmaker. He made a meter-long pendulum, and because of that, the watch that clock became very accurate than ever before. He covered pendulum and weights in a wooden box to reduce the effect of air, and thus the grandfather clock was born. And what he did, he covered it with a wooden box. You can see in the picture that is on page number 28. There is a wooden box under which there is a pendulums. Okay. So to reduce the effect of air, he had created that wooden box. The grandfather clock was born. For the first time, a minute hand was added to the dial, since it was now possible to measure time to the nearest second. And that time, minute hand was also added because now it was possible to measure time to the nearest second. It was very accurate. The last journey of these watches or the timekeeping devices. Okay, the advanced one. Pocket watches and wrist watches. Spring-driven clocks helped in the evolution of portable watches, which first appeared in 15th century Europe. In 1675, Huygens and Robert Hooke invented the spiral balance. You can see here, this is a spiral balance to control the speed of the balance wheel. Okay, so here balance wheels are there. The great English clockmaker Thomas Tompion was one of the first to use this mechanism successfully in his pocket watches. You can see here the pocket watch, and he also adapted the idea of the minute hand. You can see here, okay, the minute hand is also there. Minute hand is also there. The earliest wristwatches were produced in the 16th century. Elizabeth I of England received a wristwatch from Robert Dudley in 1571, described in records as an arm watch. At the beginning, wristwatches were worn almost exclusively by women, while men used pocket watches up to the early 20th century. Okay. In the beginning, wristwatches were worn almost exclusively by women, not men, and men used to use pocket watches up to the early of 20th century. Towards the end of the 19th century, wristwatches were first worn by military men. They help to synchronize movements. Okay, now what does it mean by synchronize? Synchronize means moving or operating at the same time or rate. Okay, so it is called as synchronize or synchronization. So they help to synchronize movements during war without revealing the plan to the enemy while signaling. Okay, so in the war also the watches have played an important role during the 19th century. Let's check this last passages. Okay, this is something which we know very well. Quartz clocks. In 1927, Warren Madison and J.W. Horton built the first quartz clock at Bell Telephone Laboratories. Today, quartz timekeepers have become the world's most widely used timekeeping devices. Okay, quartz clock means what? These clocks send an electric current through a quartz crystal that vibrates. There is a quartz crystal which gets electric current. Okay, and when it vibrates, it works. They are used in most clocks and watches, as in well as in computers and other appliances that keep time. Atomic clocks. Atomic clocks are the most accurate timekeeping devices known to date, accurate to within a few seconds or many thousands of years. And they are used to calibrate other clocks and timekeeping instruments. The first atomic clock, invented in 1949, is on display at the Smithsonian Institution in the United States. And one more type of clock, atomic clock. These are the most accurate timekeeping devices known to date. They are very accurate within a few seconds or many thousands of years. And these are used to calibrate, means adjust other clocks and timekeeping instruments. And these were invented first time in 1949. And now they are on display at Smithsonian Institution, which is in United States. All organisms have some innate method for keeping track of time, but humans have been able to keep time with greater precision. Precision means care and accuracy, and in more diverse ways. There are very different ways. As human societies have become larger and more complex, we have become better and more precise about marking time at varying skills, be it in this stopwatch precision of the Olympic Games or our daily schedules of our work or travel. This has been possible due to continuous human endeavors to refine timekeeping devices. Okay, this is all about the watches. We have seen the timekeeping devices, their journey and the changes, and very interesting timekeeping devices also. I hope you must have understood all these timekeeping devices and their related information. So just tell me what were the new developments in timekeeping devices after the hourglass? You have to write this question answer and you have to send it to me. You have to write the same in your notebook. Today's homework, which is very simple. You have to complete activity number S3 from your workbook. In case if you have any doubt related to any activity of workbook, just let me know. Notebook. Answer practice question 5 to 9 from the Exceed content book. From the Exceed content book, you have to solve practice question number 5 to 9. And do remember, you have to send your homework to me by 5 p.m. today itself, by 5 p.m. So thank you so much. Have a great day to all. Thanks a lot.